here, gentlemen. So you guys were inside the arena last night. First things first, the most important question from last night. Why was there a person in a gorilla or a Bigfoot suit sitting next to Dalvin Cook courtside?
It was the Sasquatch guy from Jack Links. Like, that is clear.
Oh, okay. That's that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
So was it like product placement, promotional thing? Okay.
They've, if memory serves right, Declan here for Jack Links. I think Jack Links and the Timberwolves have been like a partner for a long
They've got
time.
like a Jack Links store in the Skyway.
With Sasquatch right outside, yes.
So that's probably why. But I am probably shocked that like some millionaire is probably pissed he couldn't get courtside tickets because Sasquatch got to pony up right next to Dalvin Cook.
My guess is they gave Dalvin the freebie and might have actually paid him to sit there by that dude.
They paid Dalvin to sit.
That's my
Do you
guess.
think Dalvin's getting paid by Jack Links?
I think somebody paid.
Or do you think Dalvin showed up to watch the Timberwolves and he's like, "This is weird"?
I think Dalvin was probably compensated for that.
Were there any other stars out? Any other Vikings or anyone? Or was it just Dalvin and the Sasquatch?
I didn't see any other Vikings, but that doesn't mean that they weren't there.
I saw Carl's dad was there. Jordan Woods was there.
You saw Tommy Kramer.
Tommy Kramer
was
at everything,
slamming a beer in the concourse.
God bless him for that, man. Childhood hero of mine.
TK, man.
Really a childhood hero still to this day.
I'll start the conversation. You guys were in the arena. I was watching the new broadcast team of Michael Grady. Jim Peterson did a solid job last night. Mm-hmm. And I just want to talk closed circuit to the people freaking out about the game, about the 27-5 run, about the fact that how could you blow this lead? It's the same old Timberwolves. This is the worst team in the NBA, and the Timberwolves are playing like the second worst team in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Really? Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert have played once together. Once, part of a preseason game. Karl Anthony Towns was in the hospital like 3 weeks ago, okay? So I'm going to get, and if you want to go back almost 20 years, the best team in Timberwolves history, I think they were 500 after like the first 18 games, going in pretty deep into like early December, mid-December. Sam Cassell, Latrell Sprewell, Kevin Garnett, those were veteran players coming in that had been in the NBA for 10 plus years. It takes time to gel and build chemistry, even with that collection 18, 20 years ago. And so now you're dealing with two centers playing together for the first time, a 21-year-old kid in Anthony Edwards, another 21-year-old kid in Jaden McDaniels, both in the starting lineup. So they're going to need several weeks to grow and build chemistry and gel together before this looks anything like the finished product that we can then start to critique. So I was just and maybe it was just like a smattering of people on Twitter and email and stuff during the game that made it seem like but the crowd was getting restless at times and kind of booing in the third quarter. Like, people, there's going to be ugly stretches as you look to iron this thing out. And that's the blessing of a relatively easy schedule, is that you can kind of go through the hiccups and probably still win games by 8 or 10 points against bad teams. So people need to just chill out after last night.
I get it completely both ways, because one is, it's opening night, unveiling of this new product with Gobert, who, by the way, was brilliant. He was great.
Best player on the court. Yep.
But expectations are, they're going to come out firing, and it's not true. The Ant thing doesn't concern me one bit. I think Ant, now, first of all, this whole thing, much like we've spent months discussing about the Vikings offense, this whole thing has to gel. Like, it's just going to take time. I am ultimately curious to see what Karl's role is. And Karl made some great plays last night. I mean, his passes, he was passing, I believe he had 7 first half assists, none in the second half. And his shooting was horrid. His legs aren't there yet. But just as far as like his overall game, because he's going to be the guy who has to find his niche here. I mean, Gobert is going to play like he plays with more shots. But just to go back to Gobert's game, which, again, I thought was just great. One is he is now replaced. He is going to replace with a very different mentality, Beverly's leadership. Gobert, different mentality, completely different guy. But like the Wolves looked to Pat Bev as their heartbeat last year. And you know what? I thought he did a pretty damn good job. But Gobert is a better player, a different person, but there's no question. When, in fact, Phil, when they did the opening night, we're going to have a guy address the fans. It used to be Cat. It was Gobert now. Mm-hmm. And that's basically saying, you're our captain. And the other thing, though, is Gobert's game. And I mean, I've watched him play with the Jazz, but until last night, I haven't watched him closely. Do you realize that let's see here, he had 34 minutes and 22 seconds of playing time. He committed one foul.
Yeah, that's one of the. Yes.
And can Kat go to school on that? Can Kat go to school? I mean, this man is an inside defensive presence, one of the, if not the best defensive rim protectors in the NBA today. And he had one foul. I hope Kat can go to school, and I hope Gobert helps him on what it takes to be that type of player.
Yes. Now, he's going to have, I'm sure, some games where he gets into foul trouble, too.
Sure.
So it may be a small sample size alert. But Karl Anthony Towns is one of the most foul-happy players in the entire NBA. So they both, last season, for instance, Karl played 33 minutes per game, and Gobert played 32. So they played basically the same amount of minutes. But Gobert averaged a full foul fewer per game. Say that 5 times fast. A full foul fewer per game than Karl did.
That's tough. I don't like that.
I'm not even going to try to say it.
I don't like it.
He's a more active and obviously effective defender, but doesn't foul as often, which is crazy. Now, a lot of Karl's fouls are like the one that he had last night where he kicks his leg out. Come on, dude. Just stop doing that. And then stop, bitching at the officials afterwards. But, yeah, I mean, Gobert, I was just kind of jotting down notes throughout the game last night, and my 2 biggest observations about Gobert were, number one, he was only credited for 1 block in the 34 minutes, but he altered so many more shots or offensive plans by just existing, by just being there. You'd see these dudes, and actually Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit a couple really tough shots in and around Gobert, or he'd take a fadeaway or something, from mid range. So you're not gonna swat everything away or deter everything, but they held. And Oklahoma City's not a great shooting team, but they shot 38% last night, in part because it's hard to get the shots that you want on a regular basis. But the other thing that really stood out, he's just this massive set of hands on offense that acts as a second backboard, basically.
Correct.
So if you're driving, I mean, early in the game, Karl Anthony Towns had a couple where he's driving, and ordinarily he'd maybe put up a floater, or maybe he would even stumble into an offensive foul, but I can just float it up to the side of the rim, and there's this gigantic set of hands there to slam it home, right? And Doogie mentioned this on the scoop. I looked this up. That is the most shot attempts Gobert has had in a game dating back to at least the beginning of last year. So he did not have any games with the Jazz last year in the regular season where he shot the ball 15 times, and shot the ball is in air quotes because he's not really shooting the ball. He's just there around the rim. He's in the dunker spot, if you will. And for you guys on Judd's Hockey Show, it's like having that guy on the back post ready to clean. It just gives you, the goalie has to worry about, where's the guy on the back post, right? Having that guy that can kind of sit
buckets.
In front of, he's the greasy buckets guy. Yes.
Greasy
What the greasy buckets. Money band.
He's the greasy buckets guy.
Yep.
And so, so he went, 10 of 15 from the field last night.
Yep.
Last year, in the games where he shot at least 10 times in a game, there were 19 games where Rudy Gobert took at least 10 shots. The Utah Jazz were 14-5 in those games. That's a 60-win pace. And their average margin of victory in the 14 wins was 17 points margin of victory. Now, that doesn't mean that, he should just be Mark Madsen launching threes in that game where they were tanking for, it's got to be within the flow. You can't just be, all right, Rudy, start taking pull-ups from 18 feet. But you have to make a concerted effort to throw him lobs, to get him some mismatches down low, or to just trust those massive hands to come in and clean up maybe a missed shot. So what a debut for him, I guess, is my main summary. And he cleans up all of the things that kind of drove you nuts, and you still win the game.
There was also a moment, too, going back to Judd's point of Gobert kind of being the captain and reeling in Cat at times when maybe he gets a little too emotional. There was a play, I think it was early in the second quarter, where they thought they rebounded it. Cat was all the way down on the offensive end, and there was a whistle, and Kyle Anderson is basically waving like Cat, get back here. It's clearly not going to be a foul. Get back here. And I've noticed even that moment of another veteran who has played in playoff games, and Kyle Anderson also kind of being someone else that can be kind of the guy that has that self-realization. I know Mackey called him a mop earlier with Doogie, which is hilarious. But Kyle Anderson can also kind of be that Pat Bev role too, where, dude, I know what it takes to be here, but also you have to have the realization of when these moments are happening, get back here, help us. Don't freak out. It's all good. And I think those type of things are also invaluable to the box score that you're obviously never going to see.
I will say this, though. I want to see Cat make that leap himself very soon. Like, I am so tired.
What leap?
The leap to being mentally intelligent enough to not get upset about everything.
It's not going to happen.
I would like to see progress. I would like to see Gobert help him progress.
But how is he? I just like he's an adult. He's not 21 anymore. He's not going to be like I guess where I'm at with this is I freaked out on him after Game 3 in the playoffs with the same angst of why can't you hold it together mentally. I am now at the point, not that I'm going to freak out about it a few more times, so please give me leeway and grace.
Exactly.
But I am no longer expecting him to all of a sudden be like a Tim Duncan stoic.
Oh, no.
That is not who he's ever going to be.
And I don't think that he should be. I would just like to see him in game 1 of 82 and then hopefully playoffs not be kicking out, not be trying to try. I mean, he is the definition of petulant. He is a petulant child at times. And he's playing with guys now who definitely are not. And I would just hope that some of that, it's not all going to. I understand that. I'm not asking him to change into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I would hope that he morphs a little bit into growing up a bit. Can we talk about Jaden and Jalen, though?
Yes.
Jaden McDaniels and off the bench, Jalen Noel to me last night. For all the things that, and there's tons to dissect and talk about, and a lot of it was not ideal or optimal. But Jaden McDaniels, 19 points. He got to the free throw line a game high 10 times, and I thought
that's the development right there.
Brilliant. Yeah. And Noel came off the bench and led all Wolves scores coming off the bench with 13 points and was an absolute spark plug and fantastic. And I think those two things are worth paying attention to because I think they're sustainable things. They're not fluky.
Totally agree. Jalen Noel, 18 minutes. I'd actually like to see that go up a little bit. I think you could probably eat a little bit more into some other minutes to get him over 20, maybe 22, 25 minutes sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I love that Jaden McDaniels is he's just the garbage man. But he also has an offensive game that's evolving too.
There's more there.
You know, he can dribble better than he could a year ago. He's getting to the rim. The fact that he got to the free throw line, like you said, 10 times, and there's just this crazy untapped upside to him. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You know, not that long ago, he was regarded as one of the best high school basketball players in the country. And then he goes to Washington, has a weird freshman year, and his draft stock falls. Still a first-round pick, but he was, a year before he got drafted, he was a lottery pick and would have come with much more fanfare, would not have been available to a Timberwolves team that wound up selecting him later, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that development is really interesting to watch. And again, it all covers up for just the bad night of Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. So take everything that happened last night. They still scored 115 points. You know, they still got out to a pretty early big lead. Imagine when your two, maybe, I'm not going to say best player. I think Rudy Gobert is their best player. But, like, your two most important players in Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, when those guys click, you are running that team out of the gym last night. So, I don't know. I come away with, like, and then Jalen Noel, I think that guy, if you gave that guy like 30 minutes a night too, I don't know if he's going to, some of this is, you got to be careful overexposing, but I think he's one of their 2 or 3 best scorers, including Anthony Edwards. The guy is incredible offensively. He can score from all 3 levels. So totally agree on those guys.
I mean, McDaniels too, even just a insanely stat-stuffing day with 6 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, the dude was easily, outside of Gobert, the most active player on the court yesterday. You saw that with just your eye test that guy was moving and was their second best player, not named Rudy Gobert. And on Noel, yeah, I mean, that dude has 6 man of the year potential, to be completely honest, if he reaches his full ceiling. I did find it strange Naz Reid didn't get in the rotation. He had a really good preseason, and he's been a decent guy off the bench, but he couldn't figure out a way to get a minute last night, which I thought was pretty interesting.
He'll get some. He's kind of I guess I wonder if Chris Finch said something about that after the game. There's going to be some games that just like aren't Naz Reid games, and maybe they just deem this to be one of them.
And Gobert is going to get some rest. So he knocked his right knee. So he got hurt, stayed in, and was fine because he knocked knees, and it was his right knee with a Thunder player. But if you guys saw, he is wearing a fairly large brace on his left knee.
He has for a while, I guess.
Right,
Apparently,
right. But I'm just saying, like, he's the prime type of guy to get rest, and Reed's going to play. Like, that doesn't concern me. I would say the one team statistic that actually I took away from last night is one that has to change. And Finch talked about this post game and being more physical. Is this one, the rebounding stats? So OKC had 16 offensive boards, and this is a small team, feisty but small. 57 total boards. The Wolves 14 offensive boards, 55. Speaking of the potential, and you should have run an opponent out of the gym. Really, when you look at what the Wolves have, they should have run the Thunder out of the gym on rebounds.
Yeah.
And that's one I think that they are going to work hard to clean up quickly because it can be cleaned up quickly.
And it's kind of, to me, the culprits there, it was the second level rebounds.
Yeah.
So like Rudy Gobert cleaned up a lot of the stuff that was within, like if it would come right off the rim and it was within like 5 feet. But they had a lot of those like long rebounds that would go back to the elbow or further back. And that's where, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is playing out there a lot.
Right, correct,
That's
exactly.
where he's going to have to rebound on that level, but he might not be, as quick as some of the guys that can get to the ball, for Oklahoma City last night. But that's where Anthony Edwards, that's where even D'Angelo Russell, and some of the guys off the bench, like Kyle Anderson, got to grab some rebounds. So, But yeah, 16 offensive rebounds is too much. I'll throw one more thing. We'll get to some old tweets exposed here too. Even though Towns and Edwards played largely terribly offensively in that game, the one thing I really liked from both of them, especially in the first half, the passing from both of those guys. And there are so many times where Anthony Edwards would, dribble past the initial defender, get into the lane, boom, suck the defense in, and get a wide open look for a teammate. So he was given 7 assists on the night. He flirted with a triple-double despite, the 4 of 17 shooting night. But there was also probably another 7 times where he got a wide open look for someone and it was a miss or it was a hockey assist, like boom, boom, ping pong to an open player in the corner. And then Towns finding ways to feed Gobert in the first half was a really interesting development. So even through some of the muck, there was just a lot of really interesting new and good signs for this team. But
Definitely.
yeah. And Flagrant Howls will be back just with my dad passing away and Kyle has a travel thing this week. We will be hitting the ground running very soon on that podcast again, twice a week to ride this Timberwolves season. So
popular, I
give us some
hear too.
some
Dex
patience.
told me it's very popular.
Yeah.
Target Center, people are clamoring for it.
Yeah.
People just
It was
shouting
cool to
from
see.
the rafters.
Hey, Goff, where's Flagrant Howls?
Flagrant Howls!
Flagrant Howls! I hate John's hockey show, but
You
where's
having another
Flagrant
beer?
Howls?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, people just asking about your beer intake last night or what?
Yeah, they were.
Oh,
yes.
you got some questions about that?
Yeah,
I didn't want to
another
say
beer,
anything
huh?
personally, so
No, it's fine. I feel
interesting.
great today.
I want to slow down there, huh, guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I feel great today.
okay.
Everything's fine.
All right, let's
Gatorade
get
coffee
to some old tweets exposed, presented by our friends at Spiral Light Candles. A lot of victory candles being lit these days.
And those, of course, are purple victory candles, which are fantastic. And here's the great thing: so far, 5-1. The Judd's Purple Positivity Candle has been there to celebrate with. But if things go wrong, I mean, there have been hiccups. Let's acknowledge that there have been hiccups during the Purple's games. Guess what? Spiral Light Candles, a great aroma, and also can calm you down. And they have an array of candles, which are perfect gifts for birthdays, tons of things. The holidays are coming up. Nothing better than a Spiral Light candle around your house for that. SpiralLightCandles.com is the place to go. SpiralLightCandles.com. Check them out.
All right, what do you got for us, Declan?
All right, let's go back into the archives here. Let's see what we got here, because I wanted to know what we were saying about the Wolves, because it's 10, 15 years ago, some dark days of the Wolves. So let's pull up some old tweets exposed on some Timberwolves takes. We'll start with Judd here.
Oh boy.
February 15th, 2012. I don't get why Wes Johnson doesn't go to the basket more. He's okay when he does, and when he doesn't, he's not okay. So pumping up some Wes Johnson positivity. He should go to the basket more, Judd.
You know what's funny?
Go
There's
ahead,
a long line of Wolves since then who I could tweet the same thing about.
Well,
Wiggy.
I can edit this tweet for you. I think if we just get rid of the I don't get why, and then leave the Wes Johnson part, and then get rid of everything after it up until not okay.
Okay. Just he's not okay.
Wes Johnson's not okay.
Not okay.
Then that tweet is accurate. Yep. You were close. You just needed to trim the fat on that tweet there.
I'm fine with that. Nice job.
I like how you're trying to find solutions for Wes Johnson, though. You were solutions oriented.
That was 2012, dude. Think about. I mean, there should be an LOB trophy by now in the lobby of Target Center because of the presence of a guy like Wes Johnson, who should have resulted in all of these first-round picks that went on to win a championship.
No.
Interesting take. All right. Me, around the same time, February 28th, 2012. Just pretty simple. Derek Williams stays getting it. Also, no G. Just stays getting it.
What does this mean?
Williams. I must have been watching Derek Williams highlights late at night because it's also 11:32 p.m. Probably drunk. This is freshman year of college for me. I was a big Derek Williams fan. I was pumping up Derek Williams.
He stays getting it in, but what does that even mean?
I was probably watching him watching highlights, and I was hammered. I don't know, but I have Derek Williams takes.
He
definitely got it in.
Did you mean stays with the Wolves?
I didn't mean anything with that, but
but I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay. So, like, that's the kids speak.
If getting it in, if it is missing point-blank dunks and wide-open threes, and
second
then
overall pick,
playing
right?
overseas at some point, then he definitely got it in.
Is that correct?
Well, interesting take, because Phil Mackey says trading Derek Williams for Paul Gasol would be one of the most short-sighted, stupidest trades in Minnesota sports history.
First of all, don't put bad grammar on this tweet. Okay, I did not tweet stupidest. The grammar on this tweet was impeccable. I can't speak for the actual take itself.
You might want to claim that you were hacked on June 29th, 2012.
I would not dodge this. But
who are the 31 accomplices that retweeted this? They should all be held in.
Okay, now we're going to spread the blame. Okay, thanks, Kat.
They're enabling this take.
What do you mean about the tweet? I mean...
Look at me. I'm all just like, hey, the upside of Derek Williams will pay off at some point. I don't know why they would have. So that would have been a team with Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, because that was the 2012 13 team. So I was looking for, like, I guess Pau Gasol to come in as a veteran.
I think there was trade rumors around him because he was just getting out of LA around that time. I think he was. They had just, come off the back-to-back championship, so it was a season removed from that. Okay. And Paul Gasol still went out to have like 2 more All-Star seasons and play like 7 more years after this. So,
okay, well,
I get this now. Declan gave us a tweet that we couldn't understand to make your tweet, which we could, look even worse. You were set up.
Because I'm a better communicator on Twitter.
Yes, you're more shrewd. Because we don't know what Declan really meant.
That is correct.
We know what you meant.
My good grammar screwed me again.
I did Mackey's tweet last on purpose. You are right, Judd.
You got it. You purposely. I'm a reporter. I know some things.
It's hilarious. All right, that's a wrap on this reckless speculation.
Do you want to award yourself the point, or do we have to do it? I think you win.
I'll take it.
I mean, my Wes Johnson one's nothing to write home about, and we have no idea what Dex was talking about, so he's off the hook.
Derek Williams getting it in.
Is he getting it in?
All righty, good talk.
But not for Paul Gasol.
All right, we'll see you for a Feedback Friday tomorrow and over on Purple Daily for State of the Vikings offense today.